Well, folks, we won Dungeons & Dragons, and it was advanced. But before we get into that, in case you don't already know what I'm talking about, and you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. Please click the bell icon for notifications, especially if you like good news about TTRPGs, particularly classic TTRPGs, or just fun stuff in general, because you'll get all the updates about when we bring you this videos, our live streams, and all other kinds of fun stuff. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into it today. Now, if you're not already a fan of the early mid-2000s NBC series Community, you can find it streaming in a lot of different places. However, there was one episode, I think, and a lot of other people think, was the best episode of the entire series, which was set around a game of AD&D. Now, this episode was very highly regarded. The episode's title is Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and I'm not going to delve too deep into the history of the TV show Community or the creation of the episode. I'm actually going to do a separate video about that entirely. We're going to kind of do a reacts meets deep dive standalone video on that. No, the good news that we want to talk about today is that an episode that was struck from the streaming schedule has actually been restored. Let's take a look at the news, and this actually comes to us from comicbook.com, where we see Community's banned episode is available to stream again, and it's a must-watch. Here I am agreeing with comicbook.com, but it's the truth, guys. And this is Charlie Ridgely. This dropped a couple of days ago, and I, of course, will leave the link down below, and you guys can check out the article yourself. But let's go ahead and read. Time has been kind to Community as Dan Harmon's series has steadily earned the ahead of its time label that fans have handed it over the years. The cult classic sitcom launched careers and is remembered as one of the smartest comedy projects on TV in the 2000s and 2010s, reinventing what people thought TV could be. Community pushed boundaries, and one of those boundary-pushing situations resulted in one of the show's very best episodes getting banned from streaming services. Fortunately, that episode is streaming once again, available for all fans to enjoy. The episode in question is called Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and it's the 14th episode of the show's second season. In that episode, the study group tries to cheer up a depressed student by playing Dungeons & Dragons with him. Pierce, however, wants to continue bullying the young man and decides to be the campaign's villain. It's a great and often hilarious look into the realities of bullying, both from those who are bullied and those who think they are just innocent bystanders. It's also worth noting that the episode is the fourth highest rated Community episode on IMDb and was directed by Avengers Endgame's Joe Russo. When you read a description of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, you might wonder why it was banned. Early on in the episode, when the campaign first begins, Ken Jeong's character Chang appears at the table completely covered in dark black paint, face and all. He is very into his character and claims to be a dark elf, shocking both viewers and his fellow players. Hey, I wasn't shocked. I know what drow elves are supposed to look like, and I would wager most of you guys do too. In 2020, when the entertainment world was reckoning with missteps from its past, streaming services that hosted Community pulled the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons from their lineups. Those streamers included Netflix and Hulu, and Chang's dark elf costume was seen by some as a depiction of blackface, though he wasn't actually mocking Black or African American people. His costume was even called out in a joke within the episode, with Yvette Nicole Brown surely asking everyone in the room if they were going to ignore the hate crime that his makeup created. Fans and those involved in the show have lamented the removal of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, many arguing that not only was Chang not making fun of black people, but that the joke was also aimed directly at people who don't know how insensitive or ignorant they can be, similar to the Robert Downey Jr. character in Tropic Thunder. There's also the fact that the episode itself is an incredibly meaningful look into bullying, and removing it didn't help anyone. Truth. Fortunately, the beloved Community episode isn't hidden from the world of streaming anymore. All 6 seasons of the series were added to Peacock's lineup in 2024, the same place that will host the In Development Community movie. And the show was later removed from both Netflix and Hulu. On Peacock, the entire Community lineup is intact. Every episode is present and accounted for, including Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So, despite the debates about whether or not it should have been banned years ago, the excellent episode is now available for anyone to stream. If you haven't seen it before, you should definitely change that in the near future. There are few sitcom episodes as funny or as poignant as Community's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And boy, do I agree with that point of view, guys. Again, I will link to this article in the title's description below, but the episode itself is just it's a wonderful spoof on D&D player tropes, habits at the table. As the article goes into, it does talk about the subject of bullying. A little bit of deep dive lore about this. The character Pierce they're talking about is played with acidic comedy by Chevy Chase, who comes in, and that guy's the study group's attempt to play Advanced Dungeons & Dragons to cheer up their friend. Now, why do I keep calling it Advanced Dungeons & Dragons? Well, the title itself is a double entendre because college classes can start out as basic or introductory and then go to advanced, and all of the various episodes of Community had college course themed titles for them. So for Dan Harmon to take Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which is the game we all love, and then title the episode that, I thought was pretty darn cute. But another point of interest, and I don't want to tip my hand too much. We'll go into this when we do a deep dive on the episode in a later video. But all of the D&D books that you see in the episode are Advanced Dungeons and Dragons books, with the exception of some 4th edition books. 4th edition was riding tall in the saddle when this episode came out, but you see an entire milk crate full of D&D books in the episode, and they're all AD&D books. It's a blink and you'll miss it, but the observant among us who like the old school will go, aha, yes, I can see there's a Dungeon Master's Guide, Fiend Folio, and so on. And the adventure that they play, the Cavern of Draconis, which is entirely made up for the episode, is actually the module itself. You can see the picture in the thumbnail of Chevy Chase holding the module is a mock-up of a classic TSR module. I'm not sure what module they may have used for the back cover, but again, all of the books that they see that you see in the episode that are 1st edition AD&D all actually belong to Dan Harmon, and I think that's kind of wonderful. But again, we'll get into that in the deep dive of the episode. So let me ask you this, viewers. What did you think of the episode? Do you think it was insensitive? Do you think it was poignant and funny? Was it just kind of meh to you? I loved it. I absolutely loved it. When I found out it had been struck off streaming, I was heartbroken. I'm glad it's back now. Fortunately, I actually have a Community DVD collection, and that episode is a favorite. If you haven't seen it, go out, catch it on streaming. It is really, really, really a lot of fun in its depiction of D&D. But again, what do you think? Leave me a comment down below. If you like the video, do give it a thumbs up and tell me what you liked about it. And if you don't like the video, give it a thumbs down and tell me what you didn't like about it. But I want to have a conversation with you about your thoughts on this episode of Community and it coming back. But until then, guys, go ahead, cry. Baste your chubby cheeks in tears of gravy. And until then, peace.